into the Main Street Maury High School Football Preview Show for Week 8. I'm Maurice Patton along with Chris Yao. Week 8, and as typically happens about this time, fall break starting to impact our schedules. We've got 6 games this weekend, but most all of them, again, have some postseason implications.
It's also that time when fall break gets here, you know that the if-then statements start happening, and the Captain Chaos gets his coat out of the locker just to see what
CC,
what may happen. So it's my favorite time of year.
Well, of course it is, because you are nothing if not chaotic. So yeah, and again, 6 games this weekend, including a Thursday night game that fits into that if-then category, I guess, as Summit travels to Overton in a Region 6-6A matchup. And this is a big game for the Spartans here in Week 8.
This may be the biggest game of the year at this point. Obviously, this is an opportunity to, as you said, the if-then statements are starting. This is an opportunity for them to kind of solidify themselves into the playoff conversation.
Yeah, the thing is, Summit comes into this game 2-5 overall, 1-2 in Region 6-6A play. Their one win is over a winless Franklin team. Overton is 1-6, 0-3, and Overton finishes the year against Franklin. So the Bobcats, with a win here and a win in that season finale against Franklin, could claim the number 4 spot and a berth in the upcoming Class 6A state playoffs. Summit could pretty well
wrap it up,
put that away with a victory here tonight.
Yeah, and wow, what a great accomplishment that would be for Brian Coleman and his staff, because obviously not the year that they would like to have, but again, as we have mentioned talking about Franklin, this schedule is absolutely bonkers.
It is.
So
when you go back and you look at the people that Summit has played over the course of this season,
and how closely they've played Green Hill, Blackman, even Brentwood and Ravenwood. I mean, they've been right there in all of those games. The only game that they really got blown out was Centennial, who just happens to be Class 5A's #1 team.
And undefeated.
So, everything is relative. Every 2 and 5 isn't equal. And so I think Summit has a lot to play for. I think that Brian Coleman will have his team ready to play, and they've got a couple of guys, who can run the football.
Yeah, we talked last week, and I got a little deeper into the crystal ball. I kind of said that Dominic Hollis was going to be for a big game.
And he was
18-163 with a touchdown against Ravenwood last week. I mean, I didn't know when it was going to come, but you felt like that was going to be there at some point for him. And I'm sure that Brian Coleman and the Summit offense were happy to see that from their senior running back. So.
Yeah, that actually gave him right at 500 yards for the year.
Yeah.
And that's big. It's big for them, because again, if there's somebody else that the defense has to focus on, then that allows Mason McElhaney to potentially be a little bit more dynamic in the run game, because now you can't just focus on one of the two.
Well, that also allows him to maybe be a little bit more dynamic in the passing game too. Kind of opens up a little bit of the action.
Bring those linebackers and safeties in, and certainly just pop them over the top, as Summit has been known to do in the past.
Absolutely. So,
big
game Thursday night here. Getting into the Friday night portion of the Week 8 schedule. Another big matchup in Division 2A Middle Region play when Columbia Academy goes on the road to take on perennial D2A title contender Nashville Christian. The Bulldogs 4-3 and 2-0, coming off of last week's 38-7 win over Clarksville Academy. Nashville Christian is 3-3 and 2-0. And yeah, the Eagles just, that is a team under Jeff Brothers that whatever the record looks like, you don't worry a whole lot about it. They are a quality football team, and this is going to be a great matchup, man. I'm looking forward to seeing the sophomore quarterback from Nashville Christian, Jared Curtis, who is highly touted, highly sought after, and what CA does defensively to try to slow him down. And on the other side of the ball, CA threw the ball around like we felt like all year they were capable of doing last week against Clarksville.
Yeah, with Monte Baldwin out last week, kind of gave Connor Rawson the green light, so to speak, and it wasn't just, CJ Duro, Harrison Brownlee, a little bit of everybody got involved, and that's a huge option when you have at this level, at the Class A level in Division II. If you've got more than one dynamic receiver, you've got options and you've got weapons, and it's not like that. The run game was non-existent.
Exactly.
Freshman Zane Nash came in, not Noah. Zane Nash, as I was missing on Friday night, couldn't get his name right, but yeah, he stepped in and was able to. He kind of gave them a little bit of a bull rush almost. He's a little bit more of a bruising back, and was able to be big in that run game.
Yeah, to the tune of 185 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns.
It's not bad.
That's not bad. I mean, as the guy behind Monte Baldwin, that's not bad.
You'll take that if you're Seth Anderson for sure.
Absolutely. One final region matchup before we go to our first break, as Columbia Central goes on the road in Region 5-5A play. They travel to Franklin County, which has kind of been, we're still a little ways off from Halloween, but Winchester's kind of been a house of horrors for the Lions. They have lost their last 4 games down there, and they don't need to lose a 5th. They are 4-3 overall, 2-2 in region play. The Rebels 1-6 overall, 1-2 in region play. That one win, a 17-16 victory, I think in week 2, maybe, over Tullahoma, which defeated Central by 20 points a couple of weeks ago, 34-14. So it's an interesting matchup if you get into comparing scores and that kind of thing. But the bottom line is, any chance that Columbia Central may have of either Shelbyville or Tullahoma coming back to them and them having a shot at a home game in first round of the playoffs, if they have any shot at all, they got to win Friday night.
Oh, yeah, there's no question, and it's going to run through Caden McCoy. And honestly, you could do worse if your offense was running through somebody.
If you have to run your offense through somebody, Caden McCoy is not a bad guy to run it through. 23 carries for 87 yards last week in their 20-17 overtime win against Spring Hill. Had a tough time getting him started early. I think there might have been some words of encouragement at halftime for the offensive line.
Yeah, and I've heard about some of the folks giving said words of encouragement, but hey, they responded. Yeah. And that was a must-win situation. Again, just like this week is, if Columbia Central had lost to Spring Hill, that's not just a rivalry loss. It's a region loss. And then you're certainly out of any hopes of a home playoff game. Now you've got to win out and hope to get a little bit of help at this point. So I'll be curious to see how well, the offensive line plays this week with, it not being a rivalry. There's a little bit less stress that goes with that. You're not playing guys that you share the same sonic with. But there is stress in that it's a must-win situation.
This is a must-win situation because, this region matches up with Region 6-5A for the opening round of the state playoffs. And we mentioned Centennial.
Yeah, you don't want
They
to.
are undefeated. That region also includes Page and Nolensville.
Page, a two-time state finalist in a row.
Right.
A team that Central has struggled to play early in the last couple of
So,
years.
you know, if you can avoid going to Centennial or Page or Nolensville, I mean, whoever
You're
the
going to
top
play
two,
one of those.
you're going to play one of those three in all likelihood, but you would much rather get them on your turf if that's
This
possible.
would be ideal. So yeah, this is going to be a huge game, and like I said, that's one of the reasons I wanted to go, because I felt like it was probably the biggest game, you know, of the season to this point for Central.
Yeah, and again, they've got to be able to get McCoy going. I would presume that Burton Moore is going to make his second start. I'll be honest with you, I watched that game last week against Burnt Hill. I'm not sure. I mean, flip a coin between he and Casey Price.
I'm not entirely sure if Burton Moore is going to play. Apparently, he suffered a bit of a head injury.
Well, if he suffered a bit of a head injury, I can tell you what play it was he suffered it on.
Well, and the one where his helmet flew from the sideline to the fence
With no flag.
with no flag. So apparently there was that head injury that may keep him out this week. So if that takes place, then yeah, you could see Casey Tyson, but like you said, to me it's kind of flipping a coin at this point. So.
They have to find a way, whoever the quarterback is, to get their receiving core involved. Jordan Davis, Justice Haggard, Joshua Britton, guys like that have got to be able to make some plays downfield. Again, to back the defenses out so Caden McCoy can not be running against a stacked box.
And you got to be able to protect long enough to get them down the field. And that may be more of the issue than,
again,
guys getting down the field.
Maybe there need to be words of encouragement issued to the offensive line before the game instead of it happening.
Oh, that sounds very familiar. So,
At any rate, we got 6 games this week. We've gone through 3 of them. When we come back, we'll touch on the other 3, and later in the show, we'll give you our picks. Stay tuned.
He shoots, and he scores!
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic.
Well, welcome back to the Main Street Maury High School football preview show.
That's what it is.
There we go. For week 8, that's Chris Yao. I'm Maurice Patton. 9 region play, but an intriguing matchup. I don't know if these two have played before. I feel like they haven't. I think I'd have remembered if they had. But Fairview comes across Interstate 840 to take on South Williamson County rival Independence at Eagle Stadium. And the Yellow Jackets, after starting 0-2, have gone on a little bit of a run, and they are now 5-2 coming into this matchup with the Eagles, who are 4-3 overall. Fairview has kind of cemented themselves as a perennial postseason participant in Class 3A, and Independence is Independence. And, you know, I think Scott Stidham really likes what his team has done the last few weeks. Big win last week against Overton. Tough loss week before that against Ravenwood, but this team has certainly been tested by its schedule and certainly doesn't mind playing more than 48 minutes.
To answer your question, no, they've not been played, at least according to the quick research that I did at Tennessee High School Football Historical Society.org.
Well, there you go.
And
They should know.
they would, in fact. And, you know, the thing about Independence, and again, same thing with Summit, same thing with, you know, any of those teams in that particular region, but, you know, Independence particularly, who scheduled Oakland to start the year, and then Centennial's in that mix, and then you Beach at Beach, and so they've played a really tough schedule at this point and have navigated it pretty well. And I mean, as they come into tonight, number 15 in the Main Street Prep's top 25 poll, coming off that win over Overton, and obviously are right in the mix to win the region.
They really are.
They've got both Brentwood and Ravenwood still to come.
No,
That's right, they lost to Ravenwood.
but they do have Brentwood still to come.
They still have Brentwood to come and can certainly throw a wrench into Region 667.
Without question, certainly throw a wrench in the things for the Bruins. So, yeah. Fairview, meanwhile, again, 5-2 after losing early to East Hickman and Waverly, both on the road, and scoring points. You know, scoring about like you would expect a Chris Hughes team to score.
Yeah, that's the thing. And here, you know, Independence has won games with their defense. And so I fully expect this to be one of those immovable objects and unstoppable force type situations. So who's going to win? I don't know. I think it's going to be a really fun football game because Chris Hughes football games are rarely not entertaining.
They are certainly not boring.
There you go. Just watch him, and it'll be worth the price of admission.
There you go. Region 5 2A action. Mount Pleasant continues to try to put some distance between itself and that disappointing loss over at Lewis County as they travel 2 miles and take on the East Hickman Eagles. Mount Pleasant 6-1 overall, 3-1 in region play. The Eagles 3-4, 1-3, and if East Hickman has done any film study at all on Mount Pleasant, Darian Mesa can just as well stay on the sidelines on kickoff returns, I would think.
One would think, but somehow he still ends up with the football on those returns.
And when he ends up with the football, he ends up in the end zone.
Yeah.
His last 2 games, he has taken a kickoff back to the house. I don't know how.
I don't know how you keep kicking to it.
He's averaging 39 yards per kickoff return.
That's insane. That's insane. It really is.
39 yards.
Yeah.
And yet,
And that's to go along with his 468 yards and 20 yards a catch with 6 touchdowns on the year. It just seems like, hey, find that kid, stop him, make somebody else pitch.
I mean, yeah.
But
Now that's not to say that nobody else on Mount Pleasant can beat you,
it's just,
but it certainly wouldn't be him.
I'd find somebody else that's got to.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to force somebody else to make a play. That's all I'm saying.
Mhm.
You know, but hey, look, East Hickman, don't let their record fool you, man. They played Loretto, who, obviously right now is probably the favorite in this region.
Sure.
With a backup quarterback to 24-12. They held that vaunted Mustangs offense down a little bit.
Particularly the passing game.
And so I'm just saying, don't count out the Eagles this time.
Well, and again, we just mentioned the Eagles opened the year with a 21-14 victory over Fairview.
That's right.
So they have seen some good teams and they have acquitted themselves well. So this one could be an interesting one.
I think it will be.
Although you mentioned they lost to Loretto, they also lost to Waverly.
And 2 touchdowns.
So
Yeah, they lost 28-14 2 weeks ago to Waverly, 24-12 last week to Loretto. I mean, defensively against really good offenses, they have seemed to be pretty good.
mhm.
So you're going to have to find a way to stop them, particularly.
In Region 5-5A play, Spring Hill, looking for their first region win of the season, travels to Shelbyville, which has not lost in region play. The Raiders 2-5 overall, 0-3 in league play. Shelbyville 5-1 overall and 2-0 in league play. And as we mentioned, Spring Hill scored first against Columbia Central on the final play of the half, and gave Columbia Central all they wanted for 48 minutes plus in an eventual 20-17 loss. And Ben Martin said that they've got to try to figure a way to carry some momentum from that performance into these final games, starting at Shelbyville tomorrow night. This is the Shelbyville team that's really explosive offensively. Saw them in a 29-27 win against Columbia Central that a lot of Central folks feel like they should have won, and they're probably not wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Had every opportunity, and this is one of those times where, is Shelbyville going to be, focused on this matchup? Obviously, Spring Hill they've lost a lot of games that they were in. They had opportunities in and haven't been able to finish. One of the things that has perplexed me over the last 2 weeks, going back and watching a little bit of last week's game on Facebook Live and having seen them against Lawrence County, their red zone offense, it seems like, they're able to get the edge with some speed to get inside, and then, they want to try and pound the ball once they get inside the 10, which typically that's what you want to do. You want to run inside the tackles, but sometimes you don't have the Jimmies and Joes to do that. So, kind of stick with the bread and butter. I'm telling you, if Spring Hill can find a way to hit some big plays and get to the end zone without having to be in the red zone, that would be ideal for the Raiders.
Maybe closer is not better. Is that what you're saying?
In their case, it hasn't been. They've been unable to finish inside the red zone for 2 weeks now in a row. And so either fix that, clean that up, or just don't stop and go all the way to the end zone from there.
That's what the one that brought you.
And so,
And they've got guys who can do that with Avery Martin and Trey Isaac. I mean, you've got a couple of guys that can get the edge and get you those chunk plays. So
they've got speed. They can get the edge. They can.
now I understand wanting to pound it between the tackles with Allen Iverson, but he's coming back he was out a couple of weeks with.
If they had Allen Iverson,
Alan Alderson.
They would.
If they had Alan Alderson, if they had Bubba Chuck, yeah, all
be over.
Yeah. But no, Alan Alderson is a guy that can give them some yards between the tackles. He's been out for a couple of weeks with a hamstring. Came back and played. I think he had 6 carries for 17 yards against Central. But I see what it is they're trying to do with him. He's a load in the middle.
yeah.
But
That's to keep the middle backers in so that you can get the edge, right?
you would think.
You want to make is that triple option style. You've got to at least know that he's an option.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Spring Hill has kind of struggled at times offensively. In their 2 wins, they scored 41 points against Maplewood, who hasn't won again, and they scored 27 points against Lawson, which has lost its last 4 or 5, I think, starting with their loss to Spring Hill. So, besides that, last week 17 was the most they scored. So they got to figure a way to get some offense because Shelbyville was going to score.
Yes, they are.
So that is the week 8 schedule. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll tell you who we think is going to win. Don't put a lot of stock in it, though.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Hey, welcome back to the Main Street Maury High School Football Preview Show for Week 8. Chris Yao, Maurice Patton. Let's give you some picks. Summit travels to Overton tonight in Region 668 play. Chris, who do you like?
I'm going to go with the Spartans here. I think they basically solidify that playoff spot.
I agree. I think Summit goes ahead and takes care of business on the road tonight. Columbia Academy traveling tomorrow to Nashville Christian in Division 2A Middle Region play.
This is going to give somebody the driver's seat in this district, in this region. Unfortunately, I think it is Jeff Brothers and his Eagles, Nashville Christian.
I can see why you would feel that way.
Well, they're only, coming off a state championship appearance.
For sure. It's tough to argue with that. But
you're a believer now.
I am. I absolutely am. I think I picked against them. Well, I picked against them when they went to DCA 2-3 weeks ago, and they proved me wrong. And it's kind of a fool me once, shame on you kind of things. But I just like the way they're playing offensively right now. I think they're playing with a lot of diversity. I think they're throwing the ball really well. Obviously, Zane Nash last week on the ground and Monte Baldwin, what he's done through the first 6 games. I think this CA team is ready for prime time. I think they're going to prove it Friday night.
It should be fun.
Absolutely. Columbia Central going to Franklin County in Region 5-5A. Again, Columbia Central looking to snap a 4-game skid at Franklin County.
They're going to do it. I got the Lions in this one.
Man, I'm really puzzled over this one. Just because I've been bitten. I've been bitten a lot by the Lions, actually. But I feel like their backs are against the wall right here, literally. And I just think at some point, Tredarius Goff's personality is going to rub off on this team. And I think it's tomorrow night.
All right.
Fairview at Independence. Fairview punching up.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles here.
Yeah, I think this is a tough pull for the Eagles. For Fairview, I like Independence here. Mount Pleasant at Hickman County.
Not going with the Eagles. I'm going to go Mount Pleasant here.
Yeah. Cats eat birds. Yeah. Spring Hill at Shelbyville.
Unfortunately, got to go with Shelbyville there. When they're leading this region, that's what I expect to continue throughout.
Yeah, I think this is an uphill battle for the Raiders here. I like Shelbyville at home. That's going to do it here for this week's Main Street Maury High School Football Preview Show. Be sure and follow us on Twitter and check us out at mainstreetmaury.com.